Welcome, everybody, to Nightcap Candy Cafe Conversations. I am your host, Maria. Welcome. We're joined today by not only the amazing Armstrong, my beautiful, beautiful boy, but also an incredible and amazing person who I've been a fan of for a very long time. It's Ashley, everyone. Woo!
Hi. Hello. I'm
Look
here
at this,
also.
Look at this cool kid over here. All the way from the Canadas here in the south of the United States, all the way. We brought you. Hello. Hi,
Yeah,
Ash.
I'm here. I'm being transported all the way down there.
We did
It's great. Hello.
Hello. Before we begin, I do have a question for you because I've seen on your streams, we'll talk more about who you are and why you're here and all those sort of stuff in a second, but I've seen on your streams you have a ton of beverages. You usually stream earlier in the day. You have a lot of mugs, you have a lot of beverages, typically coffee beverages. Are you a how do you take your beverages, coffee, tea, or anything? I bring this up because I have myself a new mug today. This was a gift. It's a poutine mug, and when you drink it, it looks like you're eating a little donut.
Oh, that's so cute.
But what do you like to drink? What do you like to put in your cup?
So I like to, I usually drink coffee. I'm really just more into coffee. I started drinking just solely decaf this year, and just because of a myriad of things. Mostly ADHD medication does not mix super well with caffeine. But yeah, I drink decaf coffee. I just put like a little bit of sugar in it just to kind of take a little bit of the bitterness out. Not too much of it though. I just think that just straight like black coffee is a little bit too like for me. But yeah, I used to definitely put a lot more in it, and then over the years I've just slowly started to not put as much in. I used to have milk in it, but then I stopped doing that because when I would drink it with streaming, I would have to clear my throat every 3 seconds. I just got tired of it. And then, yada yada. I take like a scoop of sugar. I don't drink tea very often. That's more of a thing I kind of do when I'm not feeling super well, or if I've like messed up my throat in some way. But even then, just a little bit of sugar in it, or honey usually. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe. I'm mostly a coffee gal, and I just like to have a bunch of mugs like this mug I used today that is still on my desk because I've been in my office all day. It's like a little
cute
ghost.
little boo baby.
Yeah,
Love it. I think one of my favorite mugs there's two of them that come to mind. You have one that's just like udders from a cow that you had at like one point, where like the little standy feeties were just little udders that I thought was great, and then just your bitch cup.
Oh, I love my bitch mug
always makes me giggle every time I see it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I too enjoy having the coffee as black as my soul. Sometimes every once in a while I'll just put like a little like a splash of cream. But just like a little bit, because I enjoy, I want my coffee to taste like dirt, but like good dirt, but like tasty, the
tasty dirt,
tasty, or aromatic dirt. It's
yes,
like my tea. I want my tea to taste like, it's like the LaCroix of plant-based products. I just want it to taste a little bit, like I want my water to taste a little bit like it stood outside for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, like a plant just kind of was growing beside it for like a little bit of time. Yeah.
Yeah. It thought about pollinating, and then it was like near a pond.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Excellent. Well, now that we've got our beverage orders in, who the heck are you? How'd you get into my house? How'd you get here? Who are you?
I broke in last night, and I've been waiting around ever since. Honestly,
I wondered what that was.
I'm Ashley, and I'm a Canadian content creator, and I have been streaming for just over 6 years now. But I have been messing around with content creation since I was like 12, I think. I've basically wanted to do content creation and stuff ever since I found out what YouTube was.
Back in the days.
Yeah, back in the days. I did like some sketch stuff with my best friend in high school. I did like Let's Play stuff with my ex-girlfriend in college. I did Let's Play stuff myself a couple times. I used to do like, oh my God, I used to do like video replies to people way back in the day on YouTube
Oh my
as like
God.
voice acting auditions.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, like I've been around in the creation space, not like prominently, but I've been there. But yeah, it's been a heck of a long time that I've been doing this, but I've been doing it full time since August of 2019. So a lot less time than I've been like streaming. But yeah, I went full time. Like this was what I was really focusing on, hit the ground running kind of in August. And then I got partnered on Twitch in October, which is really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. So then you've been, it's 6 years streaming, partner 4 almost?
Yes.
Almost 4?
Yeah.
Time is a weird soup, but it's been
Time is an
many
absolute
years.
Yeah, it's been years. It's definitely been years, which is wild to think about. But yeah, I feel like 6 years seems so silly to me because now I'm just like, now I can think back to like, I obviously wasn't around during like when, Justin TV became Twitch. But even still, since like 6 years ago, the website's changed so much that it's just like, wow, like there's just, things are wild. Things are ever changing constantly, but.
Yeah. Well, because I remember seeing some of your older streaming content and like seeing your personal like transformation journey from like who you were back in. I think I started watching probably around like that 2019 era, like the start of 2019 era, and like watching you not only just move physical locations to like a new place, but just like watching you get even more comfortable with like your vibe and like how you like to do things and like your community. It's so cool. It's so neat to just watch somebody just get comfy,
Oh, thank you. I definitely think like streaming in general has made me more comfortable with myself. I feel like it's always like a big thing about like authenticity of like, oh, who you are like behind the camera or like on camera and off camera is like different. It's like, I don't have the energy, man. I literally don't have the energy. So what you get on camera is basically what I'm like if like we're pretty close, right? Like I feel like the only thing you're going to get different is like I'm pretty quiet if I don't really know you really. But like if I'm sitting in my office and I'm just kind of hanging out, I feel like more chill because I'm really like physically alone. So I just kind of like, I feel like streaming has given me an outlet to like really discover who I am more in like a comfortable setting, but like around people who like support my shenanigans. And so it's just like encouraging to be a weirdo basically. And yeah, I feel like streaming has raised my self-confidence so much and just, let me really find out who I am. And so the last 6 years, it's basically like my entirety of my 20s has been streaming almost. And I feel like having that through like my journey of like, my early 20s, I started streaming when I was like 21. So just having that, well, you do a lot of stuff changing and growing in your 20s. So having this as like an outlet was really helpful for me.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who is looking to not necessarily like become a an instant person on the internet, but someone who is like this thing that Ashley does or that a Markiplier does or whoever, insert name of personality on the internet, person on the internet, that thing seems like something I would really enjoy doing. Do you have just like the one-liner of like, not, this isn't, with the caveat, friends watching, this is not everything. And also, content creators aren't going to tell you how to do everything, so just keep that in mind. But if you wanted to give a one bit of advice to anybody who is interested in maybe dabbling in this sort of thing, whether full-time or otherwise, what's the one thing that you would tell a freshly budding internet person?
If someone is like interested in it, absolutely, I would just say just do it. Like, it's really easy to tell yourself that, like, oh, I won't be successful, or oh, I won't, like, it's gonna be hard, or there's always a million excuses that you're gonna have for yourself. But like, literally just doing it is the best piece of advice I can give. Like, just start, like, because everybody starts somewhere, right? Like, I started, and when I started, what I did was I just like asked 2 of my best friends to hang out and chat, just like so I could have somebody to talk to, because it's like, I think it's gonna be hard for me to just have nobody. And they were like, absolutely. And they just literally hung out with me during my first streams until I had like more people coming in and stuff. And then, you know, like, everybody starts somewhere, everybody starts small. And if you have like people that you can like hang out with, like, especially like if you're a viewer on Twitch and stuff and you have like pals in like the Twitch space, like if you're like, hey, I'm thinking about starting streaming, like, would you hang out with me? Absolutely, people would hang out with you. I have multiple people in my community that I've seen start streaming, and then multiple people in my community go and hang out with them because they're friends, to like encourage them to like do the thing, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna find people that want to hang out with you. And hell, even if you just like start at 0, just do it. Just starting is the biggest step for sure.
Yeah. And like, especially when you're first starting, to absolutely add on to that, do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're first starting out, and you know, the numbers aren't going to be there when you first start out unless you are super lucky. If you are super lucky and all the timing is like, then maybe. But odds are good, you're probably going to have numbers aren't going to make sense. So who are you going to always have there? You're always going to be there. So do something that you enjoy, you know, make it something that you enjoy. And then even when, you know, people start filtering in and there's like the numbers and the algorithms and blah, 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 you'll still be there, and you can still pivot to things that you enjoy, because you will always be there regardless of sites or algorithms or numbers or all that BS everywhere.
Oh God. Oh yeah. All of the numbers and algorithms are so fun.
Really, that's the glamorous side of online content creation, I'm sure. One of the things, speaking of numbers and stuff, in a way, your earrings reminded me of this. There was a time that has grown even now, where you were highlighted for a very specific set of pictures that you took and edited. And I would like to address the heat in the room.
Of course.
Which I'm sure you have addressed many times before. But for those of you, who may be listening, who have no idea what in the world heat is, with 2 E's, would you like to inform the class what the heck a heat is?
So, the thing with heat is basically, it was kind of a joke that I threw out in my stream one day that I was going to do. It was a super small side comment. I actually don't even really remember the game I was playing, but I remember just making a reference to the fact that I was just going to Photoshop it, because I was talking about Aeon Flux, and I was talking about, oh my God, of course her name escapes me right now. There's a wonderful character in that has hands for feet. It's like I think a surgery that she got to, like, I don't know, be a more agile or something wild. But I was talking about it, and apparently, for some reason, a lot of people in my chat didn't know Aeon Flux. So I brought up a picture, and I was showing it off, and I'm like, I'm going to do that to myself. I'm going to Photoshop that. And they're like, don't do that. And then I did that night. And I'm like, I did it. What do you think I wouldn't do that? And then it got such a reaction that I kept kind of like doing it every once in a while. I would like let people get lulled into a false sense of security. So just long enough where people weren't expecting it anymore, but like the way that people got upset at me, like not really upset, but like fake upset about it, fueled me so deeply that I still do it. And it's like years later, I do it way less than I used to, because now I feel like I have to one up at least a little bit every time. Yeah. So like it started with just like, oh, there's like my feet are hands, and then it's like my feet are hands, but it's a little bit of a different like position. And then eventually it was like my feet are hands, but you can see like my foot is up on something, but you can see it in like the reflection of the picture, but also out of the reflection of the picture. And then it was just like all of that stuff where I would start to like have to edit like
it's so
really
wild.
more complex scenarios that take me longer and also longer to think about. So now I just have to, I feel like I have to one up myself a lot.
Yeah.
Or like thematically, like I have one that I did for Valentine's Day where I'm like laying on the floor like this and my feet are back making a heart, and that is my favorite thing ever.
That I do remember seeing that one, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I saw the hands and I was like,
oh.
I mean, I saw the heat. My apologies. Your hands were good. Your heat were fine. And I just was like seeing that and I was like, I love this and it makes me feel uncomfy.
Good. Perfect.
It's very good, and it's something that I've always seen in your content, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or wherever. There's like, you're just really funny. You're a very funny person. And I wanted to ask if that is not intentional, but like, I know some people like take classes to be funny or anything like that, but I feel like I know the answer to this already based on everything that you've talked about and all that sort of stuff. But is comedy something that you've always like being a funny kind of person, something that you've like actively pursued, or is it just are you just a funny little lad?
I'm just a funny little lad, I think, and I feel like I appreciate the fact that you think that I would go to classes to be funny, because no. I'm very, thank you very much. But yeah, no, I feel like I am just a silly, goofy gal, and I feel like I'm just kind of awkward and weird and always have been. And I feel like a lot of times my silly, goofy weirdness kind of ostracized me a lot in school, because I feel like I'm the kind of silly, goofy little guy that like kind of brings a weird vibe that people don't like sometimes. At least like teenagers and stuff. So like I've had a tumultuous time with friends because I've always just been kind of like goofy. But I feel like streaming has given me an outlet to just be a silly, goofy little guy. And not have that diminished, you know? I feel like if anything, it's like nurtured my like sense of humor, or I feel a lot more confident in my sense of humor than I used to, which has been great.
It's a platform that allows people like the same kind of goofy bean energy to like find each other, like be magnetized towards each other. So like everybody's gonna enjoy the weird vibes, quote unquote, because it's not weird, because we're all having the same vibes. We're all vibing the same here.
Which is, I love that so much. I feel like I am a goofy guy, and like my chat is also just a goofy guy, and I feel like we just like feed off of each other kind of, and that's why I really kind of wanted to pursue streaming in particular, is because when I used to do YouTube stuff, I feel like the thing that I was really missing was like the community aspect. Like I know YouTubers can have like a community, but it definitely isn't. There's like a level of being far removed from it, because like you can't like talk right back and forth unless you're like streaming, which wasn't a thing back in the day. But yeah, I went to go on Twitch because I'm like, yeah, I'm sure doing Let's Plays is fine, but being able to just stream and have that content just actively being like made, like you don't have to do extra editing or anything, and then like I can just talk right to people who are watching my content, and then like they could be like involved in it. And I feel like that's a big thing I always get asked when I'm streaming. It's like, oh my god, how do you have so much energy? It's like, hey, I'm kind of just a hyper person always. But I also really think like chat fuels me a lot, where like as long as like chat's like hanging out and vibing and like talking to me and joking with me, I feel like super great, and I love the vibes just kind of come naturally, and I love that very much.
Yeah, it's I haven't had a chance to stop in streams lately, but like when I have, the community that you've helped to cultivate, and like you and your mods and like everybody involved has helped to kind of make, is this delightful little pocket in the internet sphere that is just, it's just so delightful. And of course, like, because it's the internet, you have random bad eggs who'd like to get in there and cause trouble and be assholes and all that sort of stuff. But like, it's so incredibly, it's just like a breath of fresh air sometimes to like just stop into like your little home, your little space there, and like just like sit and giggle at the silliness that's happening with like going off on tangents about like Keanu Reeves or like everything that's happening with Legend of Zelda, because I think you just wrapped up doing Tears of the Kingdom.
I
right?
did.
I haven't watched it because I haven't wanted to be spoiled, but I did see the thumbnail of the thing that you put on YouTube, and I am excited and nervous.
It's great. I will say literally nothing other than the fact that it was phenomenal, and it's now one of my favorite games of all time.
Stellar.
It's great.
Yeah, because you've been a big Zelda fan for forever. I see that Majora's Mask up there, and like I think I remember. It was either you or someone else saying that like this particular game, Tears of the Kingdom, is like it's super meaningful just because of like the Zelda journey. Like I think I think it was a friend of mine, but I feel like you might resonate a little bit too, because they've been playing Zelda games since they were a wee little thing, and like seeing it coming through this new phase of life, like how does that make you feel about like video games, and specifically like Zelda games?
Oh god, with like the way that like Zelda games are now. So I have a weird kind of thing which I feel like resonated with my community a bit when I talked about it, but whenever anyone would ask me what my favorite Zeldas were, I would never include Breath of the Wild as like in a Zelda category, because like it's a Zelda game, but like it's so far removed from the formula in my brain that it's like there's Link and Zelda in it, and it's a fun game, but it just doesn't scream like a Zelda game to me. But I feel like that paired with like Tears of the Kingdom, I think Tears of the Kingdom is such a good Zelda game that it made Breath of the Wild better, just because it like continued like those characters like journeys, right, and like expanded on their like personalities and stuff. And I feel like with everything, I feel like it's probably one of my favorite Zelda stories in like the whole series, and I just feel like it makes, I guess, sense more so because I feel like Breath of the Wild didn't feel like finished, maybe. So maybe I guess they just always had like a thought to continue that story somehow. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is such a good Zelda game that I would put it up there in like a Zelda title, because it just felt more like the formula. And I adore it, and paired with it, it's great. And I think it's really awesome that like I am now like, you know, I'm 27. I've been playing Zelda since I was like 3. And it's really nice to have like, you know, whenever I would think about like, oh, Zelda games that are like awesome, that I like love, I would go back to like, you know, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, or like Wind Waker. They were always like old, right? And it just felt like, obviously Breath of the Wild came out, but it still felt in my head that like Zelda was more of like a thing in the past almost. And like they remade Link's Awakening, which I adored, but again, it's just a remake of a really old Zelda game, right?
Right.
So it was just like, yeah, I love these. And Breath of the Wild was great, but it didn't scream Zelda to me. So I was like, yeah, it was fun. But no, I feel like it's really nice to have a Zelda game that like I adore with my whole heart and soul. As a 27-year-old, I think it's great because I, you know, playing the old Zelda games like Majora's Mask makes me cry because there's a lot of things in it that are like wild. The story is incredible and everything. And then I feel like I've been missing that because I'm very sorry, but I really don't like Skyward Sword. And I feel like that was like the last major Zelda game that I had played that was like a new thing, like more so in the, you know, story of like the formula of Zelda. And it just kind of hurt my feelings a little bit.
Oh
Um,
no, Nintendo, why?
I know, but no, I feel like they're bringing it back, and I it's very cool that it's like coming back around now, but it's also making me nervous because it's like I don't know how many more they're gonna make, and I feel like at this point, with the way it is now, I feel like I would be okay with them not making any more because I'm like I feel like it feels like such a good closing point for the series. Just like, okay, this is fun. Like I, as a Zelda fan, lifelong, since like first video game I ever put my little grubby hands on, if like I feel like I would be content with it.
Feel fulfilled.
Yes, I feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Which is wild. Like I would love for them to make more, but I would be okay if they stopped.
Yeah.
With this.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt with Pokemon. But it was like Pokemon Emeralds, and I was like, this is the best game ever, and I'm totally fine if I never play another Pokemon game. And then they've made like 75 after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so wild to see, like, you basically grew up essentially alongside this game franchise. So being able to see like it changing and then also you changing at the same time. It makes complete sense to me why like other people who have grown up with it, like seeing this massive thing have some kind of closure to it, some kind of a conclusion to it. It makes complete sense to me why it's so impactful to people. So the majority of the stuff that you stream or make YouTube content on is video game related.
Yes.
Assuming then video games are a huge part of your life pre-streaming, and then of course now.
Oh yeah.
What is a video game that you haven't played, not like a brand new one like that just came out or one that's coming out, but one that's been out for a while, that you just never got around to playing, but that you would love to someday get your hands on? Because I know that you just recently played The Last of Us for the first time.
Yes.
On stream. So something akin to that, of like something that's like, dang, if I ever got the chance to do that for yourself or for content or whatever, what's one of those like, God, I would someday we'll get to it.
Oh God, I feel like there's probably so many. I feel like that one for me right now that I know I will love, that I have what I love to call commitment issues with video games. So if I know that a video game is going to be 500 hours long, I will not touch it. I am like, I
get it.
Cannot commit that much time. Like I will slap like a little over 100 hours, maybe. I found out that one of my favorite games of all time is apparently like 100 hours, 160 or something hours of playtime. Maybe it's just 60. Something that's long. And I was like, oh, it's longer than I thought it was. But I loved it. But then it's like when you get to, oh my God, people like tell me that Persona 5 Royal specifically is the one.
I literally played, that's the one I was going to bring up because I played through that. I'm doing New Game Plus right now because I forgot something, and I am currently at 160 hours.
106. See, I had
ended
people
it with
saying
like
that was like
129 or something like that, and I didn't even do the full game.
No, I had people like, if you do all the things, it's like 500 hours, and I'm like,
it definitely
you're supposed to make me want to play this. I know I'll love it. I love Persona 3.
Yeah.
But sweet God, that just scares me.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard it's amazing though. I've heard it's fantastic, and I'm sure great. I would adore it with my heart and soul.
You can get through it and get like basically everything with like 200 hours of gameplay, which is still like between 5 and 2 are basically the same number at that point. So
it's
like
a lot.
I get it.
God, well, because oh my God, I feel like I beat Tears of the Kingdom at like maybe 70 hours, and that felt like I was playing it like with my entire existence when it was first released. Like playing it on stream, and I was playing it off stream, and then like playing a lot off stream and like hours every day, and I was just like, damn. And then just thinking about how long that took me, thinking about like, oh God, I'd have to do all that, because like I streamed Tears of the Kingdom because I'm like, I have a cutoff of like, this is good stuff to do on stream and this is good stuff to do off stream.
Yeah,
and so I felt like
extra stuff, like side
yeah,
stuff
like it was just something that I could slap on in the background and I would be fine and happy. But like, I feel like if it was like a story-based game, I would either have to have it fully to myself or fully on stream, and that's where I get really anxious. It's like, I can't commit to that, because there's always like a point where if it's not like an absolutely wild cult classic, like when I was playing through the Kingdom Hearts series, like my viewership was incredible. So many people want to do it because so many people played all of them and know the whole thing and is like have been playing them forever. But like with a lot of long games, there's a lot of people who haven't played them fully. Right. So you get to a point, right, where it's like, oh, this isn't the beginning of the game anymore. I've missed things, or I don't want spoilers, so I'm not gonna watch. And then it just like dwindles and dwindles, and I'm like, dang, I have to do it for 500 hours. I don't think I have the energy or the mental fortitude for that one.
Yeah, I can absolutely understand that. I think like when I was doing when I streamed Persona for the whole thing, and the only, well, I mean, I pulled some long stream hours for that game specifically, because like there's some cutscenes or dialogue stuff you can't save your game. There was one point I couldn't save my game for an hour and a half in real time because of all of the dialogue stuff. Those are JRPGs, everyone.
Oh yeah, for sure JRPGs. Oh my god, one of my favorite games of all time is Final Fantasy X. I get it.
Yep. But God, the like. There is something about that, and I'm sure it's like tangential to like how you and your community felt when you were playing like Tears of the Kingdom, or even like I'm sure when you were playing The Last of Us, when you got like to the end of this and it's like a thing that you and your community got to do together.
Yes.
And like I definitely get that like feeling of kind of like an ostracization. It's just I can only think of ostrich now. But the feeling of being outside of what like the group is talking about, I completely understand that. However, that feeling of like you got to the end of the thing and you're like hyped, or you're crying, or you're just like so excited, or like super that feeling that you get to have with not only just you but like the community that you're part of.
Oh, it's the best.
Astounding. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I still feel like that was me very much so with Alan Wake, because I played that game way later, and it was one of those things like I love Twin Peaks a lot, and I feel like a lot of people were like, Ashley, you would love Alan Wake. It's like, A, it has a lot of callbacks to like Twin Peaks. There's a lot of references to it, and it's just weird and it's creepy, and you love that, and I feel like you would love it. And so I played through it, and it's still, I think, one of my favorite things I've ever done on stream was playing through Alan Wake with my community, because I feel like everyone was so into it. It was like an awesome experience. Nobody spoiled anything for me, and it just was like really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, God, speaking of spoiling stuff for me or just being annoying, we finished Alan Wake and I immediately went on to Control, and I had to turn it off within a half an hour because people were just like constantly like telling me like, oh, well, that's this thing and this thing. And it's like, it's one of those things like you find out on your own later, and then people were just like backseating me, and I'm like, I will do this later. And I played it like a year after on my own, and it's one of my favorite games ever as well. And I'm like, look what we could have had, something beautiful. But you couldn't shut your mouth.
That's the frustrating part about sharing experiences like that in like a live format. God, well, even on YouTube to an extent, because like, God, people just I get it from one side. Some people are just really excited and they want to share this super exciting thing, and I don't necessarily fault people for that aspect of it. However, when people explicitly say, don't backseat, don't spoil things, and then they're like, but wait, hang on, hold up. Nah, it's sucky. No. It stinks.
It does stink. And also for the people who are really excited, it's like, okay, well, think back to the experience that you had. You didn't have 40 people all at once trying to scream spoilers at you. So like, if you want like me or whoever you're watching to have that same awesome experience of playing it for the first time, shut your mouth. It's like, I promise it'll be better content if you just let it happen.
Right.
Because like I was playing through Little Nightmares, and it was just a really tiny comment that someone said of like the setting, that you're not supposed to know where you are yet until like a pretty grandiose reveal. And they told me 5 minutes before I saw it. And like one of my mods deleted it, but I still saw it first. And I'm like, this would have been way cooler if I hadn't have read that message of someone just being excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was really, really frustrating because it was like, damn, now you like ruined this whole reaction for everybody that's watching. Because now I'm like, oh, well, now I know where we are. So cool.
Yeah. And then like as the person who is, you know, providing the content, quote unquote, you have to choose in that moment of like, do I pretend like I didn't see it? If you know, if you haven't called it out or anything like that, do I pretend I didn't see it and then fake a reaction that would be satisfying to viewers?
Yeah.
You know, it puts the person that you're watching it in a very awkward position.
Very, yeah. Weird.
It's just not fun anymore. It stops being fun. It stops being fun and it stops being fair. So TLDR, everybody, just keep your spoilies inside, and then when the thing gets revealed, be like, I knew you were gonna like it. You know, get excited, get hyped afterwards.
Be excited when it happens.
Yes.
That's the best thing.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking of hyped stuff, I wanted to briefly talk about something that made me super, super hyped and excited and put a little warmth in my chest. I want to talk about your beautiful baby cats. I want to talk about your boys, your beautiful boys. You've got 2 lovely children.
I do.
Yugi, who is a beautiful orange kitty, and Alphonse, who is a little gray gremlin. I want to talk about cats because
of course,
anybody who's been here, I have 3 cats. I have Armstrong, who you saw earlier, big giant white fluffy boy. I have Winry, who is a Maine Coon who is about this big. She's tiny. She's like, I don't know, 8 pounds. And then I have Elric, who's my 3-legged black cat. And I got him first because he was a 3-legged baby. And we're like, I don't want to call him Ed, but I do want to acknowledge that he is missing a limb.
An arm.
And then we're like, okay, well, our second cat, we obviously have to get a Winry for our Elric, obviously, right? And then we were going to get our third cat, and we're like, I don't know, we don't know who, we have to continue the trend. And we didn't know who to go with, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to manifest the largest cat ever, because we went with a Maine Coon for Winry because we thought maybe there'll be a giant Maine Coon. Nope, she's tiny. Tiny little baby. So I was like, please, anyone, if I name this cat Armstrong, I want it to be the largest cat in the entire world. And I got an 18-pound muscle boy. So I win.
Incredible.
He's huge. So talk to me about your cats. Shower me with praises about your sons.
Okay, so first off, when Max and I, my partner Max, were talking about adopting cats, we kind of named them beforehand of like who we wanted. We wanted 2, and we said that we were going to name them kind of after like anime characters, just like our favorite like anime shows, because I wanted to, well, we were throwing out names, and Max threw out the name Yugi as kind of a joke because he loves Yu-Gi-Oh a lot. And I'm like, no, I kind of love that as a name for a cat. Like, I really do. And he's like, really? I didn't think you would go for that. I'm like, no, I think it's awesome. We should name our cat Yugi. And then it was kind of like, we tossed around the idea of like naming the other one like Kaiba or something. And then Max was like, no, because I love Yugi. I feel like our other cat should be named after like your favorite like anime or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we're thinking, because I'm like, I also didn't want to name a cat Ed. So I was like, oh, what about like Al? Well, Alphonse. And so I was just like, oh yeah, sure. And I'm like, it would be really sick if this works out, because I feel like I would love if he was like, you know, gray, because it's a little suit of armor, right? And then we got a little gray kitty. So I'm like, oh, it's perfect. So like, that's Al right there. That's Al. Yeah, definitely named after Fullmetal Alchemist. Brotherhood is my favorite anime ever. I love it. It was definitely one of the first ones I ever watched, and I feel like I don't really watch a lot of anime anymore because I feel like I got spoiled with one of the best to ever do it, and it's hard to go back from that, right?
Yeah.
So I love it a whole lot. And yeah, it's very funny because Yugi is named after Max's favorite anime and Al's named after mine, but we swap out with who loves who the most, because Yugi is my little guy and Al is Max's little guy. So it's really hilarious. But yeah, Yugi is a huge mama's boy. If you come to my stream at least once a stream, he will be just here
everywhere.
Drooling on me.
He's the sweetest little, just like watching how he just snugs right in and just is there. I love it. I love it.
He's so cute, but he also it's just so hard to do anything when he's around, because he will take like my arm, so I can't like type, I can't like play video games very easily. It's just like really hard to do anything. So he's a goofball and he loves to do it while I'm focused on anything. No, but he's great and he's very loud. He's a meowy guy, which I feel like Al used to not be as much of a meowy guy, but then Al learned how to be a meowy guy from Yugi, so now he also yells. Which is great. So we just have a couple
they sing to you.
Oh yeah, they sing. It's awful, actually. They sing and they're awful when they just want to get into stuff, because they also feed off of each other of like, oh hey, I see you're getting into that thing and I see you've gotten in trouble for it. I'll take over and then start getting into that thing for you. It's okay. And it's like, cool, thanks guys. But Al specifically is so smart. I like to think sometimes that they share a brain cell, and sometimes neither of them have a brain cell because it's on its way between the two of them, so there's just nothing going on in there.
In transit,
but Al has gotten way smarter to the point where he knows he's getting into things he's not supposed to, you know? And so he'll get in trouble for it, think you're not looking, and then run back to try to get into it again. He will sprint back. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. And like he'll just try to be quiet, or he'll like wait until you're not looking to be like, oh well, I can go grab that elastic now that you don't want me to touch. Cool.
Oh yeah. My I have Armstrong is our garbage boy in that. Come here, come say hello. In that he'll eat trash. He just likes trash, but specifically paper trash. And his biggest like delectable is just stickers, like labels on like cardboard boxes, or like anything that you peel off of something and throw away. Good God, if it is in a trash can that does not have a lid, the trash is on the floor splayed out like he just dived into it to try to find that one sticky thing, and it'll be in like 1,000 pieces just everywhere, or just cardboard. He's got little vampire teeth. If you have a cardboard box just sitting, he won't destroy it. He'll just go up to the flap and just go hop and just leave just a perforation along the edges.
That's so funny. I love cats that just like on cardboard, because the sound is satisfying for one. Yeah. And it's just really cute.
Yeah.
Al is a biter too. He chews. Like Yugi's claws, Al will bite. If there is anything that has a little bit of squish to it, just like a little. Like the bottom of running shoes, got a little bit of squish, he'll chew on it. There is like any like we have a foam roller for like mussels, absolutely demolished. There's little tiny tooth marks everywhere. It's just like if you leave anything out, he will chew on it. And
this chair is his favorite thing to. It looks better on camera than it does in real life. It is a nightmare to behold.
I was gonna say you squished it, and I'm like, Al would chew on it. Al would chew on that.
It's got a squish to it. Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, cats are hilarious. And it's so funny because I feel like they're still pretty young. Like our sweet babies are just like 1.5 years ish old now.
Did you get them at the same
which is
time?
Wild.
Or just like really close to each other?
Really close to each other, like 2 months apart. Okay. So yeah, Yugi is definitely a little over 1.5 years, and Al is just hitting 1.5 years, I think, this month. He just hit 1.5 years. So yeah, Yugi was born in November. Al was born in January. So pretty close. Got them, like in the same month, basically like a few weeks apart. But they're just like more starting to like get into their personalities more. Like Al's definitely like so far this year really like grown into his personality, which is a little shithead. But they also like pass the torch back and forth of who is the shithead. They very rarely are both shitheads at the same time, but when they are, we lose sleep. But it's like, you are the bad boy right now, and your brother is the golden child. And then it'll swap, and I'm like, you are now the bad boy, and your brother is the golden child. And they just swap it, and I'm like, great. And so there's sometimes where I'm like, oh, sweet baby, sweet baby. Like, you have been rude lately. Like little things, but they're great. I love them with my whole heart, even though they cause me rest.
It is so wild to watch like cats, because I've always had cats like growing up and everything. It's so wild to watch them change into like kind of like settle into themselves around like that time that your cats are kind of settling into them, because mine are 8, 5, and 3 now, with Armstrong being the youngest. And it took Armstrong, I thought that he was always going to be like this timid little mousy baby. He was tiny when we got him, and now he's like
massive.
But he's a little bit of a bully. He's super food motivated, in that he's motivated to take everyone's food. But he is the biggest chicken in the entire world. He is massive and could probably just take anything that gets in the way. But he is so scared of everything. Like, to the point where if I'm gone for like 4 or 5 days and I come back, he'll like run away. Just run and hide for like a good 30 minutes until he realizes who I am. It's so funny. It's so funny. And I'm like, buddy, it's okay. I promise you, I'm not going to eat you.
Oh no, sweet thing. Oh my goodness. That's funny.
God, pets are so great. I absolutely love them.
Yeah, that reminds me of like of Armstrong like acting weird when you get home after a while. Our last cat before we got these 2 guys was like pretty old. We lost him when he was 19, so he had a whole long life. But he was hilarious, and like he was a loud guy. He would meow a lot, and so when we come home, he would meow at us and say hello and everything. But if we were gone for multiple days and we had someone like watching him, when we come home, he would look at us and look away and walk away. No peep. Literally wouldn't even meow at us. King. Would give us the silent treatment. And I'm like, oh man, Micho's mad at us. He's now talking to us. And he's, okay, buddy. And then like a couple hours later, he was fine. But it was just like, you'd always tell he was mad because he'd be there, but he would like not meow at you. So he would just be purposely like being a butthole. It's great. It's what a guy.
The idea of you need to acknowledge me, but I will in no way acknowledge your existence.
Exactly.
Never, ever, ever.
He's like, I am just here to make you very aware that I'm ignoring you. Funny. It was really good.
Have you ever had any other kind of pets around growing up or anything like that?
I had lots. I grew up with dogs. I grew up with boxers. Boxers, cats. I had a hamster, a couple betta fish. I think that's it. Yes. But I've had a bunch of pets. Mostly cats, though. My mom is definitely a little bit of a crazy cat lady. She lives on a farm now, so she has like a lot of them. Because she calls it being visited by the kitten fairy. And she used to get visited by the kitten fairy all the time. Where just like suddenly just a random kitten would show up on her property. And she's like, oh no, looks like I have to adopt another cat. Because it's just like, you know, like barn cats or whatever would like come from their farms and like have kittens. And they would just be running around the fields or whatever. Right. And then she'd be like, there's like this stray kitten here that nobody is claiming or anything. So mine now. And it's been a little bit since she's been visited by the kitten fairy, but she has quite a few cats because of it. And it's hilarious because she just seems to attract animals, specifically cats though. And so yeah, she had a few dogs. I think she only has one now, but she thinks she's definitely more just chilling out and getting a bunch of actual farm animals. Like she's got cows and goats and sheep and all that stuff now. She started out as like a hobby farm with just like some chickens and like quail. And then she got goats. And now she moved to like a way bigger property. So now she just has like actual farm animals. And I'm like, damn, okay. Like she's got big cows, which cows are huge, but she's got like big cows.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, fine. All right, Mom, you go, bestie.
Mom's
but
going through a farm phase. Let's go.
yeah, so I've been exposed to a lot of different animals because my mother is just an animal person. So.
Did you ever go through like a horse girl phase?
I never went through a horse girl phase. I feel like that's shocking because I grew up in what I didn't realize at the time, but did when I was older, a very redneck town. It was definitely one of those things where I grew up and it was like chill. And then I moved to a city, met my partner, and we went to go back home to visit my dad at one point. And it was like not our first time back. I think it was like a couple. And I was like taking him around town and he's like looking around and he's like, actually, this place is a little redneck. And I'm like, what? No. And then I look over and I'm like, yeah. Wait a minute. You're actually right. But I feel like for it being a redneck place, and I definitely knew a lot of horse girls, like a lot of horse girls. I never had a horse girl phase, which is, I'm shocked. But yeah, no, I think horses are cool, but I've never like loved horses. In fact, they do kind of scare me a little bit. I went horseback riding. They're really big. And I feel like my aunt growing up had a horse, so I like went horseback riding on her horse, and I feel like it was just like, it was more so freaky because it's like, oh, this is a whole big ass animal that I'm like, I am just praying that it listens to where I pull on these two straps. And I'm like, they're usually fantastic, but there's just a part of me that's like, I would rather be on the ground. I'd rather walk maybe.
I'd rather be around an animal that maybe I could pick up and move if I needed to, and not the other way around.
Yes. Yes. Oh God, definitely. Yeah, horses are wild. Yeah, when I went horseback riding last time, it was great. I went horseback riding with two of my very best friends, but the whole time I was rigid because I'm like, I don't want to fall off this horse. And yeah, I was just like, because what if this horse just decides to like kick me off, or what if this horse decides to run for no reason? It's like, cool.
Yeah, horse says, oh, over there is cooler than where I am right now. Let's go. Yeah,
and
like,
oh, okay.
You got two little these things. Well, these are gonna
reins.
These things, right? You're gonna do.
Yeah, the reins.
These are gonna do things. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Sure.
No.
Horse says go. I guess we're going.
Yeah.
This is. I guess I'll die. Like, guess we're going.
Yes. Were you into horses?
I wasn't. So I had more of like a Lisa Frank horse moment of like the Lisa Frank horses and like unicorns. I liked those versions of horses. I've always been a huge nature person, of just like anything, any kind of animal, any kind of plant, standing outside and on a breezy day. A big fan. But we did grow up in like very country, northern Minnesota, so almost Canada. I was almost there for a while, but we were surrounded by kind of like farmland, but we never really had any opportunities to touch horses until like way later, or like at fairs, like county fairs or something like that. And then I would touch this horse and my little hand would be here, and then it would be like the cheek of the horse is like this big, and then there's just like more horse. there's head
so
horse
much
this
more
way,
horse.
and then there's just way more horse that way. So like when the horse was like, in corralled areas, like in their little pen, I was like, oh, this is nice to like touch you because you are all muscle. It's like I don't think I've ever been like scared of horses, because I love just animals in general, but I've always been very conscious of horses and how easily a twitch of a horse could, my arm could fall off. Just, hang out somewhere.
They are intimidating, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I want to channel horse energy, though, of just existing, just standing in a space and existing, and people either being so enamored by you or absolutely intimidated just by you being there. You're not doing anything. You're just being majestic, and people are like, damn, that's horse energy right there. I'm scared or turned on by you. I don't know which one yet.
No, I love that. I want to channel horse energy because that I feel like is the dream. That's got to be the dream. Is just being intimidating and enamoring by just existing.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. You just are.
Yeah, just be.
Speaking of just being, I have one final kind of question to kind of round us out. We've talked a lot about things that you have done and experiences that you've had, and cats and horses and etc. What is the what is your hope for the effect that you'll leave behind when you either move on to something new, or content creation in and of itself might implode tomorrow? What are you hoping to have left behind in your wake with everything that you've been able to do?
Oh God. I feel
I know,
like
easy questions. Horse girl energy.
Really
and
ending it
this.
off on an easy note here. Thank you. God, I feel like I would love to just have made a difference in the lives of people that, you know, like watch my content and stuff. Just made it a little bit of like a brighter spot. I just want people to be able to be a little bit more silly goofy. Just take things less seriously. The internet, I swear to God, is just getting worse every single second of just people being negative all the time and spinning everything into a negative light. And it's just like, I've kind of always said, and it always sounds cliche and kind of doofy, that it's like, oh, I just want to be like a bright spot on the internet. Yeah, but I do, because the internet sucks. And I feel like it's just like, saying the internet sucks is like one thing, but like, God, it really sucks. And it's just getting worse. And I feel like every year I feel like I have less faith in it. Like every year I just take a step back more from like social media and stuff. Like, not saying I'm gonna like disappear off streaming or anything. It's more so just like, I'm gonna just be over here and I'm just like post what I want. I'm not gonna really like stick around too much on the website because it's bad for my mental health. But yeah, a thing I really just want to leave behind is like, you know, a thing that always like really means a lot to me is like when I can be there as like a source of like joy through people's like really rough times. Like I have a lot of memories in like my head of like really, really rough times in my life, where I like watched content creators and like they like saved my life by just giving me something that was like a little bright spot in like the darkness, and just maybe being that for other people. Or it's like, dang, if I could like make a difference and help someone out like so many other creators have done for me, that is like a huge thing for me. And like if people can like make friends in my community, and like, you know, if people can get like lasting friendships by just hanging out and laughing at dick jokes in my stream, that's awesome. Like that's one of my favorite things, and that's something that would really mean the world to me to like leave if I stop creating content. Like I just, you know, I just want to, I guess, enrich people's lives. And that sounds silly, but that's kind of all I want to do.
It resonates very true here, because that's something that like at currently I'm taking a little mental brain break from like a lot of content creation, because burnout is a bad thing that I've been dealing with for longer than I think I've wanted to admit. But like that super resonates with me, because that's something that is very similar to like what I also want to try to do with like the spaces that I've made and everything. So I personally think that you're already there. You're already succeeding in making this little dark, gross internet sphere. I like to use an analogy when talking about like my motivations for things, but I do think that it applies here as well. That you're acting as a lighthouse in this absolute sea of darkness, and people are flocking to you because they know that where you are is safe. And because of how brightly you're shining, it inspires others to take that light into the dark spaces as well. And much like stars in the sky can be dark, but the more stars that shine, the less the darkness seems so vast.
You're gonna make me cry.
That's what you're doing.
That's like so poetic and so sweet. Oh my God. That was very
that's
lovely.
what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. It's wild to see. Like, I'm not gonna go I'm not gonna take an extra step and be like, we're kindred spirits, because I mean, we just met. But I think the motivations we have are very similar in why we choose to do these sorts of things, and I think that it's. I just want to encourage you and tell you, you're doing such a good job, and you are exceptionally inspirational. Like, I'm a fan. I have been a fan for a while, but mostly because of this exact same thing of like, it's an aspirational thing of this energy, this like horse energy, this spotlight energy. Like, this is the thing when I think, I want to be like Ashley when I grow up. I don't want to actually be you. That's silliness. But I do want to have the confidence to keep shining, which is what you have, which is...
Thank you.
It's so great. Yeah, the secret of this show is that everybody gets complimented it. So I didn't tell... That was a secret. So... Ta-da!
Yay! You made me teary!
Hooray! If you want to see Ashley cry more, go watch the stream sometimes.
I do cry, I went through a period of time where I was
great.
trying not to cry so much on stream, and then I started to go to therapy, and I was like, why? Who cares? Feel your emotions. So I cry a lot again.
Good.
And then I get YouTube comments that are like, oh, you're faking it. Oh, you cry too much. And it's like, how about getting in touch with your emotions for
How about
once,
you cry some
angry
more?
little man?
Well, it has been an absolute delight to have shared a small bit of your time and your day.
Thank you for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure.
It was so wonderful.
Oh, yay. Well, give your cat some scritches and some love. Before I send you off to do that, though, if people don't know where to find you on this vast internet space, where can people find you?
Well, I'm at Ashley Roboto pretty much everywhere that you can find me. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, anything. I'm Ashley Roboto. I feel very blessed that I have a username that I could snag. Slurp up real easy. I stream 4 times a week at 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Post some YouTube videos and then edits on other platforms and things. But I like to think I'm funny on the internet sometimes. So, and then I cry a lot too. Woohoo!
Show up for tears and incidental comedy.
Basically, yes. Tears and incidental comedy where I say something like, we are going to suck up this bear's piss with a little syringe, and then everyone comes in to me talking about squirting that bear piss on things. That happened in Chibi Robo. I was playing it, and a bear peed its pants. A stuffed bear peed its pants. Anyways, the people you will come into my stream, and I will be halfway through the weirdest sentence you've ever heard, and that's just kind of the experience.
Such as one of my favorite GIFs that I use all the time, which is the Lion, the Witch, and the Audacity of this bitch. Literally, yes. I want that tattooed on my body because it's so good. It's so iconic. So,
oh my god.
It's just so funny.
I love it. That's the one, like, people will tag me. Like, oh, look, an Ashley GIF in the wild. And I'm like, damn. And I'm like, I look like a farmer because I'm dressed up for like a Stardew Valley stream. And I'm like, that's the weirdest GIF of me. I'm like in a full like straw hat and like vibing. Hilarious. So good. Good golly.
Go catch all that good Ashley Roboto content. Go check out their cute emotes that you draw yourself, which is something we didn't even talk about. Ashley's a great artist, and it's so cute and amazing. Go check out all of the things and wonderful stuff. Because you're everywhere, and it's lovely. It's so great. You. So lovely. So, everyone who's here, including you, Ashley, I hope that your cups are full of something cozy and delicious, and that your conversations remain candid. Until next time.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.